Good day and welcome to the Ministry of Tourism special interview program, Tourism One-on-One, where we explore topical issues affecting the tourism sector as we continue to recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Kingsley Roberts, your host, and with me today is Chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Ministry's Tourism Workers Pension Scheme, Mr. Ryan Parks. Good to have you, Mr. Parks.
My pleasure.
Today we continue our discussion on the Ministry of Tourism's innovative Tourism Workers Pension Scheme and efforts by the Guardian Group to enroll hospitality workers. So, Mr. Parks, in a nutshell, why is the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme so important at this time?
It's very important to the extent that the backbone of our tourism product is always the hard-working employees of the sector. And there are roughly 350,000 tourism workers that are a part of the formal sector. And when you look at the main foreign exchange earner for the country, it's really tourism, and it's a major catalyst in the growth of our economy over the years. And so we believe that a tourism workers pension scheme is the right thing to do to be able to provide a meaningful social safety net for the hard-working tourism workers at their retirement age. It's a start. There's much more that needs to be done insofar as housing and access to healthcare and so on. But I think it's a good step in the right direction, and it sends the signal that you are valued and your contribution to the sector is something that we consider very important, and you would be assured of an income after retirement.
Okay, so who exactly can enroll?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the Act speaks to employees of tourism operators. And once you work in the tourism sector or you supply goods or services to the tourism sector, you become eligible. But the flexibility about the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme is the fact that it allows casual workers, temporary workers, as well as permanent workers, and also self-employed workers to be part of the scheme. So it's very flexible, wherein all categories of workers can be enrolled.
So those employed directly and indirectly?
Those employed directly and indirectly, but those who are also self-employed could also be part of the scheme. Most organizations that have a formal pension scheme, it is only beneficial to those permanent workers. So if you are a contract worker, more than likely are excluded. The difference with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme is that it's all-inclusive and all-encompassing. So whether you're a part-time worker, a contracted type worker, or you're self-employed, you are eligible to join the scheme.
So those persons are eligible?
Absolutely.
All right. So how do persons enroll then, broadly?
Okay, it's very simple. So as would have said before, the pension administrator for the purposes of the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme is Guardian Life, okay? So a prospective employee who wishes to join the scheme could do one of two things. They could reach out to their HR department and arrangements be put in place for an application to be filled out, which is also accessible online via the Guardian's portal. But also they could reach out directly to Guardian Life, who will walk them through the process. There is both an online application and there is a paper-based application. The Ministry of Tourism, you could also reach out to the Ministry of Tourism and could also reach out to any member of the Board of Trustees, including myself, and we'll be more than willing to provide information and guidance. One of the things I must point out, which I think is very important, is that although the Act was legislated in 2019. The scheme formally commences in 2020. And for a period of 3 years, employees are allowed to contribute a minimum of 3% of their salary, okay? And a matching 3% by the employer. By 2023, however, that shifts to 5%. So it gives the employee the opportunity to go in at a lower rate, but also for that to be increased in a year's time. And we considered also the impact of COVID-19. A number of operators who would be required to match their 3% indicated that their cash flows were not at the most optimal level. And so the ministry and the minister considered those factors in agreeing to the 3% initially.
So how have tourism workers been responding to the tourism workers pension scheme?
By and large, I would say fairly well. We have a number of enrollment activities planned. One of the challenges that we face is the lack of information and lack of know-how, not just about the tourism workers pension scheme by and large, but pension as a whole. And which is why I'm saying the government has, to my mind, a greater role to play about sensitizing the public about the importance of pension. But we have our job to do, and that is to target tourism workers. And I must say we're off to a very good start. In that, since we commenced earlier this year, the total contribution is in excess now of 100 million in terms of contribution, which I think is quite applaudable. And the job continues. We have a schedule that we routinely go to the various entities. We meet with the management and we meet with the staff through HR, and we continue the sensitization process.
So what's the response been like from the standpoint of the tourism entities?
Mixed. There are those who continue to reel from the effects of COVID, and they will indicate that the cash flows are not yet at its best. We try to work with them. There are others that have jumped on board once we approach them, and they see it as the right thing to do. I believe that the job must continue, and our aim is certainly to reach 100,000 tourism workers within, say, the first 2 years of being operable. And it's a target that keeps me up. And it aligns our focus to ensure that those goals are achieved as quickly as possible.
So, and you've mentioned some of the enrollment initiatives now. So talk to us a bit more about that. What's exactly happening on the ground in terms of driving membership? You said going to properties and so on.
Agreed. So there's both a marketing side to the
in terms of advertising, yes, and so on,
which I'll speak to, and there's the actual operations. So on the marketing side, Guardian would naturally have partnered with the larger media houses. There was a campaign, a road show that saw Guardian and its team taking to the streets the whole business of the tourism workers pension scheme. And that created some awareness. We're also pursuing outside broadcasts with known media entities in Jamaica. And the approach there is to have, for example, a media broadcast within a hotel, for example, that has a large quantum of employees. There is the impromptu visits to the smaller players, because the beauty about this scheme is that we do not discriminate and focus exclusively on the larger players. But the Sky Juice guy, the little man who chops his jelly and sells to the tourism.
The man who sells jerk chicken.
The man who sells the jerk chicken. So we have a program that we go to them and we speak to them about the importance of the scheme and the benefits. And more formally, meetings with the HR divisions within these entities for them to arrange sessions with the staff, and we'll come in and present along with even the investment manager, Sagicor, just to sensitize and to speak to the benefits about the scheme. One of the benefits which a lot of people are not aware of is the fact that the government has decided to seed the scheme with at least $1 billion over a period of time. So far, we have gotten 750 million. And what it says, Kingsley, is that once you become a member on day one, you are guaranteed at least, I think what the figure I'm being told, at least $200,000 by doing nothing, just by joining that scheme. And that's because the scheme has been seeded with funding from the government from day one.
So what's your word of advice then to tourism workers who have not yet joined the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme?
This is something that is too good to be true. I mean, when you look at your later years in life and the need to have an annuity flow of income, that income stream is going to be very important for you to measure up to cost of living, to be able to attend to the various medical issues that may arise, and for you to be able to have a peace of mind. No longer should we rely on kids as pension, okay? And so it is your opportunity now to be able to take advantage of this opportunity by investing in the scheme. I just spoke to the fact that by becoming a member, you are automatically entitled to a certain portion of contribution. Pensions is also tax-free based on our regulations. And so once you invest in a formal pension scheme, those investments are exempt from taxes. And so that would also increase your rate of return at the right time. The earlier you get in, the better. For most investments, the time horizon is a factor. The longer you have the investment there, is the more likely the multiplier effect will chip in and your maximum return will be great. So my advice is this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Take advantage of it, and it is there, designed, crafted to be able to serve you, the tourism worker, and to benefit you, the tourism worker, in your retirement years.
Okay, great. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our program. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Parks.
Thanks for
having me. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to our viewers for tuning in. Take care and see you soon.